G'day legends, so we finally saw Dana White again. I know you might be wondering, who the hell is Dana White? Dana White is the supposed president of the UFC. I mean supposed because we haven't seen him in front of the cameras in bloody weeks and weeks and weeks. And there was a lot of questions going around being asked whether or not we would even see Dana White at all during UFC 316. And lo and behold, he decided to descend down from the heavens of the MMA gods and ignore some questions for us, the fans. Yeah, Dana White did a press conference that went for about 20 minutes. I'm going to break down some of the selected highlighted moments because we talked about everything in this one. We talked about Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes. We talked about John Jones. We talked about all kinds of stuff. We talked about TKO and boxing. But it was full of Dana White political. He's been hanging out with the political bros too much. He's been hanging around with Donald Trump too much because he gave us a bunch of political doublespeak, essentially. So in today's video, we're going to go through some of the highlights of his press conference, and I am going to get the truth out. I'm going to get the truth out on what Dana White was actually talking about and actually break down some of this political mumbo-jumbo doublespeak that Dana White was going on. So let's get right into it. Right, heading over to Dana White. Now, first things first, you'll notice the first switch up. The UFC is now sponsored by Threads. And this is because Dana White has become a board member on Meta, the company that owns Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook, right? So the broadcast and the UFC are going to start moving further and further away from Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And more over the next 12 months, you are going to start to see Threads pop up. And I believe by July next year, you won't see any posts on the broadcast from Twitter at all. It'll all be from Threads. Now, I checked out Threads when it first dropped, and I thought it was fucking shit. It was fucking shit. So I'm not going to be using Threads. I have no interest in using Threads at all. If you use Threads, well done. You'll get your pat on the back from the UFC. In fact, you should probably go over to the UFC store and get yourself one of these. Yeah, it's a UFC dog collar. You might as well just put that on if you decide to start using Threads because the UFC are using Threads. That's the level of shillery that you should be doing. Chuck on your UFC dog collar so you can get walked by Dana White. Anyway, doesn't matter. Back over to the video, let's get into it. Now, you're going to have to excuse Dana White's voice here. It's a little bit hoarse. I assume that he's just finished pulling out John Jones and Turkshay Ali's cocks from his throat. It does make your voice a little bit hoarse once you've been deep-throating two cocks at the same time. Let's listen to Dana White straight away. First of all, I want to hear his takes on all the gossip that's been going on because we haven't seen him in a month. So let's hear some of his takes on the gossip that's been going on.
Now the Tom Aspinall-John Jones fight, it's a bit different now, right? Because John's been tweeting a lot about the fact that he's told you his plans, he's ready to vacate the belt, and all the rest of it.
He said he's ready to vacate the belt?
He said he doesn't care if you strip him, he would vacate it.
Fucking crazy. Yeah, I've been busy. I haven't been keeping up with the gossip.
Dana's been busy. Dana hasn't been keeping up with the gossip. Dana, we haven't seen you in a month, yeah? What the fuck have you been doing that's been making you so busy? And I'm bringing you this up because Dana White is going to be answering questions later in this interview about what has been going on at TKO. And he's been talking about how he's just been locked into his UFC bubble. So there's a reason I'm starting the breakdown off with this. Because this is one of the first questions that he gets asked, and he's been too busy. He's been too bloody busy running around like a bloody headless chook to know what's been going on with John Jones. John Jones saying that he's ready to vacate. John Jones saying that he doesn't care if he gets stripped at all. He's been bloody busy, mate. But we haven't seen him anywhere. We didn't see him after UFC 315. I don't know where Dana White has been. We've been getting John Anik at the press conferences. We've been getting the UFC mouthpiece Australia guy that has the personality of a fucking grass growing. We've had that guy instead. So Dana White's just been flat out, but he hasn't been anywhere to be seen.
The gossip. He comes back. He's either back today or came back yesterday or whenever he's in Thailand. So he's home. We'll be home tonight and Tuesday. We'll figure this out.
Tuesday, we will figure this out. I wanted to bring this up because this kind of goes in line with my thinking on where we are with the UFC Tom Aspinall, right? I released a video last week talking about how strange it was that the UFC actually went and posted Tom Aspinall's interview on Good Guy, Bad Guy, talking about how John Jones is retired. I'm the new champ now. I want to get the division moving. And it's very strange that the UFC put that on their official channel as if it was them saying that they are now ready to introduce Tom Aspinall to the wider audience and start promoting him. Yeah, and now we have Dana White saying we'll find out about John Jones on Tuesday now that he's back. This does signal to me that, yeah, we are indeed in the end game. Like, it is time to get John Jones to sign on the dotted line or vacate. And now, because Dana has said that we'll talk about it on Tuesday, that means if he ever has the balls to show himself at a press conference again, we can really start pushing him. Because he's given us a timeline now. Like, we'll have it figured out on Tuesday. Matchmaking, Tuesday. Okay, all right. So by Friday, we should know, right? Like, we should know by next Tuesday, yeah? We should know at the Buckley versus Usman post-fight press conference what the hell is going on. We finally should have some announcements, shouldn't we? Right, next clip is going to be Dana White talking about how he's going to do everything that he can to try and make the fight. And I'm just bringing this one up to show that it is, like Ariel said, it's the UFC doing everything they can to get the fight signed, which means it's not what John Jones was telling us on Twitter last week. It's not the UFC has a plan and John Jones is just sitting around listening to the UFC. It's no, Dana wants to make this fight happen. He's throwing all the money he can at John Jones. John Jones is simply just refusing to fight Tom Aspinall, like everyone has been saying.
I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So it's none of my business. I'll do what I can to make the fight if we can. If he's talking that crazy shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and last.
That's about John Jones saying he doesn't mind if he gets stripped. Like, Dana's like, we'll do whatever we can to try and make the fight. Ariel's saying the UFC are doing everything they can to try and make the fight. John Jones is the one delaying this. So punish John Jones. Right, the next one is Dana White being asked about the Canelo Crawford event. What happened there? What's been going on with TKO boxing? And here's where we hear Dana White answer with, well, I'm locked in my own bubble. So let's have a listen to this.
With this Canelo and Crawford event, Turkey was pretty big on making it clear that you would be the head promoter, and then he did say, actually, you were going to be head promoter, and they didn't have a broadcaster, and then it was actually Sella's going to promote it, and it's going to be DAZN pay-per-view, Ring Magazine, all of that stuff. I guess what exactly happened in the last couple of weeks?
I don't really know. Listen, we're at work at UFC headquarters. I'm in my own little world, man. I don't pay attention to any of that shit. I know what's going on. I know what we're doing.
When we're at work, I'm in my own little bubble. When we're at work, I'm in my own little bubble. So let's get this straight, right? Ever since UFC 315, ever since the weekend right after UFC 315, not even the weekend after, 2 or 3 days after UFC 315, we got a lazy announcement of UFC 317 of Dana White on Instagram Live on his phone. That was it. That was 4 weeks ago. We haven't seen shit about Dana White ever since. Haven't seen him anywhere, haven't heard from him in relation to the UFC, yet here he is saying that when I am in the UFC, I'm locked into my own little bubble. So he doesn't know what the fuck has been going on over at TKO Boxing, because he hasn't been in that world for the last month. And he doesn't know what the fuck has been going on with his heavyweight champion John Jones, because he's just been too busy. Dana White, what the fuck have you been busy doing? What have you been fucking busy doing? You're not busy at boxing. You're not busy at UFC. What has it been, the fucking power slap that's taking everything away from you? You're just flat out doing power slap nonstop? You're meant to be the president of the fucking UFC. You don't know what the fuck has been going on with your heavyweight champ while he's been laughing at the entire fan base all over Twitter. We assume it was because you were setting up TKO Boxing, but you've been locked in the MMA world apparently for the last month, but we haven't fucking seen you at all. Next one up, he gets asked about the Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison fight. Let's check that one out.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine it's something that she's been off, and I don't know if she's been training. I don't know what she's been doing.
You know she's in the testing pool?
Is she in the pool? No, she's not in the pool either.
So as we know from the Conor McGregor situation, we can assume that Amanda Nunes needs to be in the testing pool for at least 6 months. However, that was under the USADA rule set. And that was one of the reasons that the UFC got rid of USADA. But let's assume that she needs to be in it for 6 months. I believe that we're not going to see Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison until January next year. Now, why is that? Because January's pay-per-view is always the hardest pay-per-view to book. Most of the athletes obviously want to take Christmas off and eat a whole bunch of food with their families. They don't want to be thinking about weight cutting over the Christmas and New Year's break. Now, the January pay-per-view, because it's usually so flat, it does sort of get handballed to Canada because Canada just sort of accepts what's given to them. Same thing that happens early in the year with Australia. We get sort of an early pay-per-view because we just sort of get accepted what's given to us. We don't get those marquee events in the middle of the summer. I think they are going to set up Canada 2026, kick off the new year with Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison, and I think you're going to get that as a main event because it is a super fight. Now, is it a banger of a fight? I mean, it's not the kind of, like, it's not going to get you riled up and excited, but it is a super fight, and it is going to pass the criteria for the UFC selling it to us as a super fight. So I think that's what's going to be happening in Canada. And it kind of makes sense with you need to get Amanda Nunes back in the testing pool. If it is 6 months, I mean, we're June now. You know, so it's either going to be December. They're not going to cap off the year with Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. That seems like a perfect January pay-per-view, Canada, super fight, women's main event. That's what I think is going to be happening with that. Right, last one. Dana White gets asked, and he's having trouble hearing them because Merab's team is celebrating next door and you can hear them screaming. But he gets asked, in your gut, do you believe that the Jon Jones-Tom Aspinall fight is going to happen? Do you believe it? And Dana White says something very, very interesting. Check it out.
I've been saying it since the beginning, and Jon Jones agreed to do the fight. So Jon Jones was offered the deal and accepted the deal.
Here's what I think happened. I think Dana White is 100% correct about this. Because I don't know if you guys remember this. Do you remember this? After Jon Jones fought Stipe Miocic, Tom Aspinall was at that event. And Tom Aspinall went into the back of the arena with Hunter Campbell and Dana White. And Tom Aspinall left that event very, very confident and very happy that the fight was going to happen. Now, why has Dana seemed so confident that the fight is going to happen? Why has Tom Aspinall seemed so confident that the fight is going to happen? Why is Ariel Helwani, the biggest enemy of the UFC, saying that the UFC is doing everything they can to say that the fight is going to happen? I believe that the last time they spoke to Jon Jones, he said, yes, he will fight. Yes, he will fight. And then a couple of months later went by and Jon Jones says for $30 million. And Dana White and the UFC and TKO went, okay, for $30 million. And then in a couple of months went by again. Not too many, but, a couple of weeks went by again. And we heard recently, Jon Jones goes, well, I'm going to need 6 months to get ready. And they looked at the calendar and they went, Jon Jones in November? Yeah, okay, we could do that. And they went, okay, yeah, 6 months to get ready. And Jon Jones, fuck. I didn't expect them to keep saying yes. And so Jon Jones ran off to Thailand. Jon Jones ran off to Thailand, started sipping coconut, started having mojitos, started cruising around on mopeds looking for ladyboys, and the whole MMA world has been sitting there going, so you're going to do it or what, Jon? And Jon's going, this has got nothing to do with me. They can strip me if they want. They know what I'm doing. Dana White has come back from wherever the fuck Dana White has been, hearing all these rumors and everything, heard all this shit that's been going on, and he goes, last time I spoke to Jon Jones, we were going to do this. This shows to me even more that yes, Jon Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall, and that Jon Jones never expected the UFC to say yes to all of his demands. He never expected the UFC to say yes to $30 million. He never expected the UFC to say yes to you can take 6 months to get ready. He never expected all of these yeses to come down the barrel, one after the other. He never expected all of this. And now he is just flat up putting his hands out and going, maybe not. I'd rather fight Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, who isn't in the UFC. I'm going to break that down in tomorrow's video as well. How Francis Ngannou can get back into the UFC within the next 12 months. There is a very real way that can happen. I'm going to break that down in tomorrow's video, so look out for that. But I think this is very telling to us. This blank stare of Dana White just being like, man, Jon said yes. Jon said yes 6 months ago. I think Jon did say yes. Why else would I've said it before, but there you go. Why else would Tom Aspinall be so confident after the November card with Stipe Miocic? He was so confident. Everyone was so confident the fight was going to happen. Why? Because I believe Dana White is a fucking liar. We're going to get to that in the last little bit here. Dana White is a fucking liar. But I believe, I'm not just taking Dana White's word for this. I'm taking John Jones's word. I'm taking Tom Aspinall's confidence, Ariel Helwani's confidence, Dana's complete unwavering confidence and genuine surprise at the shit he's been hearing from John Jones over the last 2 weeks. I think John Jones left MSG on November of 2024 saying, yes, I will fight Tom Aspinall. And everyone went, sweet, we'll talk about it next year. Have a good Christmas break. And we came back this year, and John Jones has just been an annoying cunt. An annoying fucking cunt about the whole situation. Last little bit that is just hilarious that I gotta chuck in here. Dana White gets asked about the petition to strip John Jones that has 150,000 signatures on it now.
I saw it.
I mean, I know you say you always listen to the fans and give the fans what they want. I'm just curious what you make of that.
How many fans are there worldwide now? Like, what's the number? It's like 400 million or something like that. Yeah, 130,000 people want to see him stripped.
Who is Dana White's social media guy? Where does he think there are 400 million MMA fans? Where does he think there are 400 million MMA fans? 400 million. In what world, Dana, are we in a sport that has 400 million fans? We're on the UFC's Twitter, Instagram. We're on the UFC's YouTube page right here. 20 million subscribers. 20 million subscribers. Out of 400 million MMA fans, 20 million of them subscribe to the page. I think on Twitter, it's got 13 million subscribers. I think on Instagram, it's got maybe 47 million subscribers. All under 100 million. Does he think these are all individual people across the platforms? Like person A, Dougie's Corner, only subscribes to the UFC on YouTube. Dougie's Corner doesn't subscribe to them on Twitter. Dougie's Corner doesn't subscribe to them on Instagram. They're all separate people. Why, if you have 400 million fans worldwide, why does ESPN only pay you for 300,000 pay-per-view buys? That minuscule number? Why can't you sell pay-per-views for $1 a pay-per-view? Yeah, make $400 million a card. He just talks so much shit. He just talks so much shit. I know I just said that I trust him about John Jones saying yes in November, but it's because it's not just... Dana White isn't my only thing that I'm using for logic here. You know what I mean? I'm using Dana White and Tom Aspinall and Ariel Helwani. But whoever... Dude, oh my God. Being, like I said in yesterday's video, right? Become a women's MMA coach because you can just gaslight them, you know. Edmund Tavarian with Ronda Rousey, the bloke who groomed Rose Namajunas, Pat Barry, right? Pat Barry, Juliana Pena's coach. Juliana, the first round went perfectly. You're doing everything perfectly. But if you want to gaslight human beings, become a women's MMA coach or become Dana White's social media guy. How many fans have we got? How many fans have we got out there? Oh, Dana. Fucking billions, can't. Maybe 8 billion fans. Really? Everyone in India is a fan? Mate, India never even heard of cricket. It's all MMA. All MMA. There's so many fans, mate. Yeah, we got like 400 million fans, kid. We got like 400 million fans. No wonder Netflix and ESPN just fucking laugh at this bloke whenever he walks into the room. I want $1 billion a year for 20 Apex shows. What do you reckon? What do you mean, no? What do you mean they're not worth $1 billion a year? But have you seen the numbers? Wow. What about Power Slap? Dana, we're not all as dumb as you think we are, all right? We're not just... Dana, stop it. Stop it. But anyway, that is the majority of Dana White's post-fight press conference. It was good to see the bald man again. Thank God we saw him again. Tomorrow's video, because a lot of this press conference as well was talking about Francis Ngannou, John Jones, and Tom Aspinall. And that is a whole separate thing that I'm going to break down for you guys in tomorrow's video. So, if this is your first time here, g'day, welcome. My name is Dougie. I make an MMA video every single day of the week, and I try and go live at least 3 times a week. You want to know where all that happens? That's what the subscription button is for. You want to know when I go live? That's what the notification bell is for. Let me know down there in the comments, what do you think about Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison for a main event in January in Canada. What are your excitement levels out of 10 for that one? Leave a like if you liked the video. And if you're one of the paying members of the channel, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all of you. Stay locked in for tomorrow's video where we talk about Francis Ngannou coming back to the UFC. What? Yeah, there is a way that it can happen. I'll explain the path for you guys tomorrow that I've come up with in my own head. And that's it. You guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you then. Goodbye.